Good day. My name is Mr. Roch. This video is intended for the use of my Math 10 students, possibly their parents. And that's about it, although depending on how I put this video out there, many more people could see it, and that's fine with me. This particular video is about why I'm trying to flip my classrooms. Flipping a classroom is not a new concept. I would say it's been around years, but not decades. And there are probably hundreds or maybe even thousands of teachers doing flipped classrooms across the continent, although I would still venture to say that a very small percentage of teachers are flipping their classrooms. Every year, our teachers in our district are expected to do some sort of professional development. Our district was nice enough to allow us to investigate some individual type of professional development. And it all starts with asking a question, and my question was, what is flipped classrooms all about, and is it for me? I still have a few years to go before I retire, and I don't really want to go out with a fizzle. I want to try new things right to the end, and so this might be the greatest thing I've ever tried. As I said, it's not a new concept. Once I heard about flipping the classroom from a colleague of mine on staff, I went to YouTube and I did some reading and I tried different things and started finding out quite a bit of information about it. The main thing is there is no perfect recipe for it. In fact, different teachers call flipping a classroom different things. Sometimes they use videos, sometimes they don't. Sometimes teacher is all in other words, they're 100% flipping their classroom every day with every class, while other teachers are only doing it with certain classes or certain units, or maybe even certain lessons within a certain topic or unit. And that way it remains a kind of a novel approach. So I'm going to see where this takes me. I'm going to try this with my Math 10s first, and then and in this particular unit it's trigonometry. And then I'll see. I have great plans, but I have to see how my students respond to it as well. My traditional math lessons are probably very much like a lot of teachers' lessons, in that a typical lesson would start off with discussing problems with the previous day's assignment that students did for homework. And then we would go on to the concept of the day. I would teach the lesson, basically show how things work on the blackboard, followed by some note-taking, where I would copy the notes on the board, students would copy them. And then after that, field a few questions, do a few examples, and when I feel that the majority of the students understand enough to go on to the assignment, I turn them loose on an assignment. The actual lesson could take a fairly short period of time, but depending on the lesson, it could have many concepts, and by the time the students are actually on to their assignment, there could be very little class time left to do the assignment. So that is one of the main weaknesses of this, is that I have to go along fairly quickly in order to cover all the concepts necessary in any particular lesson. Some students are patiently waiting for me to get through because I have to go at a certain pace in order for most of the students to understand. So those students who are catching on quickly may become bored and could have been easily worked on their assignment before that. The majority of the students, I would say, I'm probably pacing myself for, so they're probably getting it just about the right amount of information that they need to comprehend things properly. While the students that struggle, unfortunately, I may have gone a bit too quickly, but I have to go along at a good enough pace to get through the lesson. So those students, either they would ask for help and I would help them individually, or maybe, worst case scenario, they don't ask for help and maybe they don't get the lesson. And so when the students take their homework home, you know, the average strong student, they're okay. However, some of the weaker students might run into difficulties, and unfortunately help is not always available at home, and so then they're stuck. And hopefully they ask the next day, maybe come in at lunchtime or something, for help. However, not all students will do that, and therefore that continues along, snowballs, and before you know it, it's a quiz time or a test time, and they don't have the concepts nailed down yet. So, there certainly are weaknesses to the traditional method or model. The strengths, well, everybody's used to it. Parents are used to it, I'm used to it. It's worked for the majority of students for a long, long time. It doesn't make it the best method, but nevertheless, those are its strengths. The flipped classroom lesson, on the other hand, takes all that traditional model and flips it around. Typically, students would come into class prepared. They would actually have done the learning ahead of time, usually by watching videos, possibly generated by the classroom teacher, or possibly a video that was out there already from Khan Academy or whatever. So when they come to class, they've already watched a video or videos, and they've already generated some notes on the important aspects of that concept or concepts. And they've also maybe written down a few questions that they have because they're still not quite sure about how things go. So in a flipped classroom situation, the beginning of the lesson is, let's talk about what you learned about that particular concept. Surely there'll be some questions that will be shared and hopefully ironed out fairly quickly. After that, there may be some discussion, there may be an activity, there may be some project stuff. Certainly group work would be in tall order here, so students can work together because there's still a lot of class time left. And basically, the assignment of the day, whether it be a project or an assignment from the textbook or workbook, is worked on in class. And hopefully by the end of the class, most, if not all, of that assignment will be completed. The advantage there clearly are that more class time to do other things besides just listen to the teacher teach and possibly reteach the same concept. Another strength is that more one-on-one time with the teacher for those students that need it. More collaborative time working with peers in groups so they can help each other. And more maybe using those math concepts to work on little projects or activities. The weaknesses of flipped classroom lessons, it's something new. It will require buy-in from all the students. What if the student does not watch the videos or do the homework ahead of time that is necessary? Those students will come to class unprepared. So something has to be done to involve them in the lesson so that it's not a complete waste of time for them. Hopefully the students buy in and that dedication will work. So, final thoughts for flipped classroom before we start. The main thing is that this is new for me. It's going to be new for you. I hope that together we can make this work. And maybe the big picture is that I want you to be brave enough to try new things. Here I am in the later parts of my teaching career, and I still want to try new things. I'm not just resting on what I'm comfortable with, and I hope you go through life always challenging and re-challenge yourself and learning new things and not being afraid to try. So that's it for this particular video. My next video will actually have a lesson on right triangle trigonometry. I'll see you then.